Tonight, Canada loses its measles elimination status, a black eye for public health.
This bruises our reputation. It's a giant wake-up call.
The struggle to get a hold of the ongoing deadly outbreak.
I didn't know if she would survive or not.
And how Canada can regain its measles-free status. Donald Trump pardons Rudy Giuliani and other loyal allies over alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election.
President Trump has treated the Justice Department as his personal law firm.
And we're here at the National War Memorial as Canada prepares to honor those who served and sacrificed. Plus, the race to unearth messages left by Canadian soldiers in tunnels beneath Vimy Ridge.
It's like walking into a church.
And standing up for all those who've lost children in military service.
What would he be saying to you?
He'd be very, very proud of me, I think. Very happy.
My conversation with this year's Silver Cross mother.
From CBC News, this is The National in Ottawa with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us here in the nation's capital tonight. There is a major setback in Canada's fight against a long and deadly measles outbreak. After more than 12 months of sustained transmission, this country has lost its measles elimination status. Getting that designation was a hard-fought win back in 1998. Losing it now is a blow to Canada's reputation, but more than that, it also represents incredible risk. Measles is one of the most contagious diseases in the world, and it's deadly. That Canada cannot seem to contain it is an embarrassment to some, a public health failure to others. Alison Northcott with what experts say it will take to get that designation back.
The rash went all up her face, all down her arms.
Kimmy was only 4 months old, too young to be vaccinated when she got dangerously ill from measles.
I didn't know if Canada knew what to do, if Alberta knew what to do with measles anymore, because nobody has dealt with it. Even my pediatrician has been a pediatrician for 40 years, and Kimmy was her first case she's ever seen.
Canada eliminated measles transmission nearly 30 years ago, but the virus has come back in a big way. Some 5,000 cases since October 2024. Now, Canada has lost its measles elimination status.
Measles is the most contagious virus known to humankind.
The Pan American Health Organization revoked Canada's status due to 12 months of transmission.
This bruises our reputation. It's a giant wake-up call that we have gaps in our public health infrastructure and that we need to fill those gaps, and we need to do so urgently.
In Canada, 2 babies born prematurely who contracted the virus before birth have died. There have been cases across the country with significant outbreaks in Alberta and southwestern Ontario, mainly within close-knit, under-vaccinated communities.
It's a sad day. I'm disappointed.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says it's now working to eliminate measles again.
We do need to build trust in the whole community and make sure our public health systems and our immunization programs are really as good as they possibly can be.
It's completely preventable and it's incredibly distressing.
And those of us in this field.
This virologist says health officials need to do more to counter misinformation and disinformation.
One of the things that I think about a lot is how can I get that message across in a way that really resonates with people and can sort of get through all of this noise that opposes vaccination.
And not only did Canada lose this status for this country, but for the whole region of the Americas.
And so, Alison, at this point, what's it going to take to get the designation back?
Well, the Pan American Health Organization says Canada needs to increase its vaccination rate to reach herd immunity, which is when 95% of the population is fully vaccinated. It also needs to increase surveillance and respond quickly to any outbreaks. And Canada also needs to stop transmission for at least 12 months in order to regain that elimination status and be considered measles-free again.
All right, thank you. That is Alison Northcott in Montreal. As if measles wasn't bad enough, there's now growing concern about how hard the flu could hit Canadians this winter. As Jennifer Yoon explains, that's because of one strain in particular making the rounds.
Flu season has begun, and there are signs it's going to be a bad one.
I'll be giving you your flu vaccine today.
There is a concerning subtype of the flu already circulating in Canada and dominating in other parts of the world.
That's what we're seeing right now from an early season in the UK, an early season in Japan, where H3N2 is predominating. The concern there is that H3N2 seasons are generally much worse.
The H3N2 strain is associated with more severe infections, especially in older people, and particularly troubling. This season's flu vaccine appears not well matched to it. The virus mutated fast and significantly since scientists from around the world decided what strains should be in the flu shot.
It's always difficult for us to get a good match with H3N2 viruses because they do tend to change more.
Even if the flu shot doesn't offer perfect protection, it's still worth getting, say doctors, because it protects against several types of flu.
The vaccine doesn't just protect against one kind of influenza, so it's not just H3N2 that's in the vaccine. There's also H1N1, and then there's also influenza B.
H1N1 is still the dominant strain circulating in Canada, and flu cases have been ticking up over the past several weeks. This weekend, Alberta reported its first influenza death, a patient in their 60s. Experts stress getting vaccinated protects everyone.
They're not just about you, okay? So if I get my flu vaccine, even if it's only 30% protective, it makes it less bad for me. But it also means I'm less likely to give it to you.
As flu season intensifies, high-risk settings like hospitals and long-term care homes may consider masking up once again to protect older adults who are the most vulnerable. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
And Governor General Mary Simon is in the hospital tonight recovering from a respiratory virus. Simon is said to be doing well, but will miss this year's National Remembrance Day ceremony here in Ottawa. Her deputy and Canada's Chief Justice Richard Wagner will attend on her behalf. Prime Minister Mark Carney says the next batch of major projects fast-tracked for approval will be unveiled on Thursday, and also that he'll be consulting with the provinces directly.
We have a First Ministers meeting, so the Prime Minister, the Premiers, Mr. LeBlanc will be at that as well.
He said the virtual First Ministers meeting would come next Monday, the first since the summer and since the U.S. paused trade negotiations with Canada. Well, the U.S. Senate is pushing forward tonight with the deal to restart the government, one that has the support of a small group of Democrats. Paul Hunter in Washington explains what they gave up to get a deal done.
Yes, please. From U.S. President Donald Trump, a signal it really will soon be over. Finally.
It's too bad it was closed, but we'll be opening up our country very quickly.
At 41 days, and yes, still counting, it's already a record-long U.S. government shutdown. But on word late Sunday, some Democrats now agree on a funding deal with Republicans through January.
Mr. Fetterman, aye.
A likely reopening looms. Democrats had held out over health care costs and federal subsidies they wanted extended into the new year. They didn't get that. What they did get were promises to reverse the mass firings of federal workers during the shutdown, back pay for furloughed workers, and a Republican pledge to hold a vote on health care subsidies, but with no guarantees it'll pass. Enough for 7 Democrats and 1 independent senator to agree to end the shutdown.
The question I was wrestling with is, if the tactic isn't working, and there were no prospects that it was going to work, then let's move on, not make a lot of other people suffer in order to get a goal that wasn't attainable.
That suffering includes long lineups at food banks, as the shutdown meant millions of Americans lost access to federally funded food stamps. And cancellations, delays, and chaos at airports as air traffic controllers forced to work without pay called in sick. As for those health care subsidies, Democrats who held firm and still oppose the spending plan emphasize
Republicans now own this health care crisis. They knew it was coming. We wanted to fix it. Republicans said no, and now it's on them. When people's out-of-pocket costs double or triple, very soon Americans will know Republicans made it happen.
All that said, Adrian, the expectation now is that sometime this week, final votes will bring the shutdown to an end, at least for now.
Okay, Paul, forgive me this question, but who won the shutdown?
Well, arguably no one. Certainly not the federal workers who've been not working or not paid, and certainly not the many millions needing food stamps. Politically, Democrats stayed unified for 40 days and then cracked and didn't get an extension of those subsidies. And Republicans got a lot of blame for not bending on the subsidies. Democrats are banking that'll play out in next year's midterms, but they are still a long way off, Adrian.
No kidding. All right, Paul Hunter in Washington. Syrian president and former al-Qaeda-linked rebel leader Ahmed al-Sharaa arrived in the U.S. to a warm welcome at the White House.
People said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts.
Donald Trump praised al-Sharaa as his administration waived sanctions on Syria, though he met him without the customary fanfare afforded other world leaders. It was the first such meeting since Syria became an independent country in 1946. Al-Sharaa's group split from al-Qaeda in 2016 and ousted Syrian President Bashar al-Assad last year. And the U.S. president has put the BBC on notice, in his words, sending a letter to the public broadcaster threatening to sue for $1 billion unless he is compensated for a documentary that features his speech to supporters ahead of the infamous January 6 Capitol riot. 2 top BBC officials resigned yesterday, in part over the documentary, which edited 2 different sections of his speech together. And Donald Trump continues to block accountability for the effort to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Now he's pardoning dozens of political allies, including his former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Katie Simpson has the announcement made with the words, "No MAGA left behind."
President Donald Trump is rewarding his loyal allies with some help from the Department of Justice. On social media, an official post, dozens of people getting pardons in connection to alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. The president says this ends a grave national injustice and continues the process of national reconciliation. No MAGA left behind, says Trump's pardon attorney. In the lead up to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, there were widespread attempts to keep Trump in power. Efforts that were as elaborate as they were far-fetched.
The company counting our vote, with control over our vote, is owned by 2 Venezuelans.
Rudy Giuliani, who served as Trump's lawyer, is being pardoned, along with Mark Meadows, Trump's then chief of staff.
Okay.
The president already granted clemency to 1,500 people charged in connection to the Capitol riot.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages.
Trump has long tried to rewrite the events of 2020, and all these years later, he still routinely makes false claims the election was stolen from him.
This would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. Well, I know how it happened, a rigged election. That's how it happened. The Democrats are good at a few things, cheating on elections.
These latest pardons are part of a troubling trend, according to this American law professor.
President Trump has treated the Justice Department as his personal law firm in a way that no prior president of either party has done.
The pardons only apply to federal crimes and are seen as symbolic and preemptive, since no one on the list has been charged with a federal offense. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from prison as he appeals his conviction. Glimpsed there slipping into his home, Sarkozy is now under judicial supervision after serving less than 3 weeks of his 5-year prison sentence. Sarkozy has denied any wrongdoing in a scheme to solicit campaign funds from former Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. He is the first French head of state in modern times to spend time behind bars. And Typhoon Fung-wong has now blown through the Philippines, leaving incredible devastation in its wake. It slammed into the country Sunday as a super typhoon, submerging streets and homes and sparking deadly landslides. At least 8 people have died and entire provinces were left without power. The Philippines was already dealing with destruction from another typhoon that hit last week. So that storm likely on the minds of many tonight in Brazil, where the annual UN climate conference is underway. Our international climate correspondent Susan Ormiston is there and has the urgent call from Brazil's leader that kicked off COP30.
Unless you have a ticket, you will not be entering this area.
A bit of chaos trying to get a seat at COP30's opening ceremony with the Brazilian president.
There's something called security protocol and presidency.
President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva set the tone, pushing back against climate deniers.
Now it's the moment to impose a new defeat to the denialists.
A reference, perhaps, to the absence of some countries.
We're moving to the right direction, but at the wrong speed.
For the first time, the 2-week conference comes to the Amazon, the huge rainforest which helps regulate our climate. 42,000 visitors have stretched hotel space so much, some are overnighting on cruise ships. With the heat and humidity outside, inside, air conditioning blasts people and potted plants. At a time when some governments are cooling their enthusiasm for bold action, COP30 is a reality check.
Solar and wind are now the lowest cost power in 90% of the world. This is the growth story of the 21st century.
But this climate conference bears the weight of all the others, big financial pledges for loss and damages, and promises to transition away from fossil fuels. Hard fought, but with little carry-through. Pressed at a news conference, Brazil couldn't answer yet whether fossil fuels are on the agenda.
This is something that we are going to see how this discussion evolves.
The reality is that we're not actually addressing the problem, but we're talking about it more. It's good to talk, but we also need to have plans.
Canada's pavilion opened today, but the Environment and Climate Change Minister isn't here yet. Julie de Brusen and Stephen Guilbeault, the Culture Minister, will pay a short visit here this week. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Belém, Brazil.
India's capital is on high alert after a powerful car explosion killed 8 people. It happened near the Red Fort, a 17th century landmark visited by thousands of tourists every day. This wreckage conveys the force of that blast, which also injured 20 people. Officials say a slow-moving vehicle stopped at a red light and then exploded. The exact cause is under investigation. Bus drivers in Montreal are preparing to go on strike, grinding the entire city's transit system to a halt.
It's a health hostage situation, you know.
How the work stoppage could play out and why it might be short-lived. The race to capture carvings left by Canadian soldiers just before the Battle of Vimy Ridge.
We have to get there now with a sense of urgency.
The message is just now being uncovered. And a remarkable goal under some pretty unusual circumstances.
And I just saw the ball in the air, and I was like, I have to try it.
We're back in 2. So guess what? The Guess Who is back. For the first time in more than 2 decades, the legendary rock band will head on a Canadian tour next year with Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman. This comes after the pair settled a lawsuit last year with 2 other original bandmates to reclaim the trademark to their name. Well, Montreal is nearly 2 weeks into a partial transit strike that could test the limits of a new law. It will soon put tremendous power in the hands of Quebec's Labour Minister. Sarah Levitt begins with the strike's impact on some vulnerable Montrealers.
At this Montreal nonprofit, breakfasts are free, lunch only $2.50. It's usually a popular spot, but lately visits are down by about 90%.
Because of the strike, because people is not able to commute here, and also like with the other form of transit is difficult, like example for Uber, is going to be more expensive now.
An ongoing strike by transit maintenance workers has reduced service across Montreal's public transportation system. At issue, wages and how much outsourcing of work will be allowed. For the month of November, buses and metros are only running during rush hour. And for those who rely on transit, it hasn't been easy.
It's just it's a held hostage situation, you know.
Things could get worse on November 15th and 16th when bus drivers are set to go on a 2-day strike and shut down the system completely. The unions say they're rushing to hold all these strikes before December 1st. That's when a new provincial law comes into effect, giving power to the Labour Minister to end strikes proven harmful to the population. It would bypass the need to go through the Labour Tribunal.
It is a dramatic infringement on workers' constitutional rights.
Already, several unions are challenging the law.
The parties need to be able to meet on a relatively level playing field, and that requires leverage on both sides. Workers have one lever, which is the right to withdraw their labor.
Montreal's incoming mayor has said she wants the transit labor disputes to end as soon as possible, urging all parties to meet in good faith. For now, though, public transit remains stifled. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Canadian-born author David Szalay has just won the 2025 Booker Prize. His novel Flesh explores themes of masculinity and tells of a working-class Hungarian man whose life unravels in London's high society. The Booker Trophy was awarded in London with a prize of about $92,000. Flesh was on the short list with 5 other books, but the head of the jury said the choice was unanimous. Well, this year's Silver Cross mother is preparing to represent the many who've lost children in military service, nearly 20 years after her son was killed in Afghanistan.
I think it's very sad for all the lives that were lost, and for what?
Her endless efforts to maintain her son's memory. And rare access on board a NATO surveillance flight on a mission to track and then take down potential threats.
During a tense situation, man can be creative.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Have a look at these beautiful poppies projected onto the Senate building here in Ottawa. One more stirring sight ahead of Tuesday's Remembrance Day commemoration. And here, covered in snow, that is the National War Memorial just behind where we are tonight, where wreaths will be laid and people will pay their respects. These bronze figures were commissioned in memory of those who fought in the First World War. In 1917, the assault by Canadian troops at Vimy Ridge was a turning point in the war. Today, beneath that battleground, modern technology is restoring some newly discovered messages left by those soldiers. Here's Colin Butler with what those messages tell us now.
In the tunnels beneath Vimy Ridge, where Canadian soldiers once waited for battle, the last post echoes, a tribute to the soldiers who left their mark on these chalk walls.
It's like walking into a church alone, and you see these carvings on the wall that these soldiers had done, in some cases, right before they died.
These are the tunnels below Vimy Ridge, a haunting gallery of names and art carved by Canadian soldiers on the eve of battle.
There were subway tunnels through here, and they were all connected, so the supplies as well as the men are moving through this vast tunnel system.
At Vimy Ridge, Canada proved itself, a young nation finding its voice amid the thunder of war. While they waited, anxious soldiers passed the time carving and writing in the soft walls.
This is very famous.
Now, more than a century later, new messages are being uncovered thanks to 21st century technology. New handheld 3D scanners capture the carvings in color and detail.
So these guys, Beckett and Mason,
revealing more than 30 new names once lost to time.
That's just a really prime example.
Once scanned, the carvings are digitally realized, linked to the name and face of the soldier who carved them, offering a glimpse into their thoughts, often fixed on love and home.
It links the past with the present, and it gets that message across that we need to remember the people that actually served.
Their work is a race against time. The tunnels are unstable and some have already collapsed. A Canadian was killed in 1998 while documenting the art.
The chalk that is down there, it's very, very fragile. So we have to get there now with a sense of urgency as much as we can, to record as much as we can.
A century later, these tunnels still speak, but they can't hold out forever. Teams are shoring up tunnels, planting trees to preserve the fragile chalk, fighting to ensure this history isn't swallowed by the earth. Colin Butler, CBC News, London, Ontario.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world on the eve of Remembrance Day. To honor the past is to lean on those left behind, especially the mothers.
And then he told me, oh, I remember saying, oh, not Randy, oh, not my Randy, not my Randy.
Some family histories span generations.
Well, I guess the journey started back in the 1990s as a project for my father.
Tonight, from the Second World War to Afghanistan. In a moment, a return to oft-forgotten Malta. But let's start a little closer to home with this year's Silver Cross Mother.
So this is Trenton, just before he was deployed?
She is the National Silver Cross Mother, an honor no mom would ever want.
Nancy, is this the last time you saw him?
And I'm thinking, Nancy, you were the first person to see him when he was born, and you were the last person in the family to see him before he left.
Nancy Payne was also right there in Wainwright, Alberta, the day her son Randy learned he was being deployed to Afghanistan for close protection duty with the military police.
He was so up for it, so happy, so I'm thinking, well, you have to be happy for him. But I wasn't. Deep down, I wasn't.
Maybe a mother's instincts are the only things that make sense in war.
But we begin tonight with a very difficult day for Canadian troops in Afghanistan. They are absorbing the loss of 4 soldiers. The Canadians were all killed yesterday when their convoy hit a roadside bomb.
Corporal Randy Payne, all of 32, deployed to Kandahar in February of 2006. In the field right away, protecting VIPs. On April 22, 2006, on the way back to Kandahar from Gumbad, his vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb. He was one of 4 killed. Nearly 20 years later, his mom lives alongside grief. Reminders of her son, honors for him everywhere in her hometown near Kingston, Ontario. Memories surging when she was told of being the Silver Cross Mother, that she will spend a year representing all moms who've lost sons or daughters to war, as so many mothers have done before.
Some of them are such beautiful speakers, you know. They just have a knack. But, yeah, I just never thought I'd be one of them. Yeah, but I'm very honored.
I'm sure you never thought you'd be in this position in the first place.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, I'll never forget that phone call, yeah. Dave was visiting the kids up in Wainwright. And so I was home alone in Innismore, just outside Peterborough. And the phone rang at 3 or 3:30 in the morning, and it was Randy's boss. He said, I have some information to pass on to you about Randy in Afghanistan. Well, when you get a phone call at that hour of the morning about your son, I thought maybe he was hurt. And then he told me, oh, I remember saying, oh, not Randy, oh, not my Randy, not my Randy.
Nancy, that's a lot of time to be in the house by yourself. In the middle of the night with information like that in your head.
Yeah.
How did you get through that?
Well, I guess I must be stronger than I think I am.
Maybe you can sense from Nancy that she's a serious soul who can still find a smile quickly. She says that's what Randy was like too.
He always had a big grin in his eyes. He was a charmer. He really was a charmer, yeah. They do a thing on the bases there on a certain day called the pain train.
Okay.
And they have to do so many push-ups and so many sit-ups in a certain length of time. And I think they curse Randy every year. It's quite
He
grueling.
smoked them every year?
Yeah.
Service runs through generations in this family, uncles and great-uncles in the First and Second World Wars. Her husband Dave spent 30 years in the military, Randy, of course, and then there's this little one, Tristan, Randy's son. At his father's funeral at the age of 7, alongside his little sister, he stood tall and read the poem Footprints in the Sand.
During the times of trial and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you.
He's all grown up now.
Well, he's a combat engineer in Petawawa. He's got five or 6 years in. He loves it. He loves it, yeah.
The day that you found out that that's what he was going to do, how were you?
I had mixed feelings. But if they're happy, you have to be happy for them. But there's times I'm thinking, oh, why didn't you pick something else?
Hard, too, is trying to measure the meaning of a loss. That sinking feeling that Randy's death was more than a tragedy, it was pointless.
As time has gone and Afghanistan is now back in the hands of the Taliban, what kind of conversations are you having in your head?
I think it's very sad. And for all the lives that were lost, and for what?
There's her son Chris, her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, the love of her husband, her friends, hobbies. Make no mistake, Nancy has a rich life. And she will tell you, she still senses Randy everywhere. Is pretty sure she knows what he would make of his mom laying the wreath on Remembrance Day at the National War Memorial as the Silver Cross Mother, there to stand for and with all those others.
What would he be saying to you? Would he be saying, Mom, stand up straight?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, he'd be very, very proud of me, I think. Very happy.
Oh,
You could do it, Mom. You can do it. Yeah.
And you can.
And I have to.
A son who served and a mom who will forever. Nancy Payne and her husband Dave will be right here in Ottawa tomorrow. A reminder that our Remembrance Day special begins at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, as we honor those who gave their lives for this country. Now, a family's wartime loss is sometimes measured in decades. For the CBC's Johanna Wagstaff's family, it was both distant, the Second World War, and remote, Malta. But for her whole family, sorting out a mystery was something they just had to do. So here is their journey of discovery.
Earlier this fall, I boarded a flight bound for a small island in the Mediterranean. Most people don't think of Malta when they think of the Second World War, but for my family, it's where one of our stories ends and begins again. 1940. Italy had just joined the Axis powers. Everyone needs oil, and the Allies need a base to guard the East. Enter Malta. What began with a few planes and anti-aircraft guns soon became a fortress, bombed more than any other Allied post of the war. By 1943, Malta was packed with bunkers, airfields, and Allied troops, including an Australian Wellington bomber unit with more than 90 Canadians. Malta played a crucial role in the Second World War, but for our family, it's always been personal. My great-uncle Michael's story ended here.
Because he was doing flying against Sicily and
Corsica.
My dad, Adam Wagstaff, and my sister Kate have spent years piecing together his final chapter.
So how did the journey start? Well, I guess the journey started back in the 1990s when I first started researching my uncle, John Michael Wagstaff, as a project for my father.
So it became this sort of grand adventure of finding and following his footsteps.
And that's when we got the only ever photo
of him smiling.
Yeah. And I remember that was a moment where I was reminded, yes, he was this hero, but he was also a kid.
He was just a kid.
My great-uncle Michael was British, but he served alongside Canadians in the RAAF 458th Squadron, a melting pot of young men from across the Commonwealth who flew together in the Mediterranean.
For each Canadian who had died flying with the squadron, we suddenly began to learn more about Canada and the Second World War and the amazing training that went on in every corner of this country.
When the last known Canadian member of the squadron passed away, my dad and Kate took over as the Canadian correspondents, researching with the same vigor they brought to our uncle's story, each of the 90-plus Canadian airmen, one by one, all anchored in Malta. 80 years later, and that's where the Wagstaffs have landed, for a commemoration marking the end of the war. We're meeting the 458th family in person for the first time. Most of their fathers made it home, carrying the weight of war, but also a bond that never broke, passed down to their children.
104s, that's the Canadians, yes.
And they're all Canadians, that's their story.
We'd only ever exchanged letters, yet somehow this feels like a reunion. At the Malta Memorial, a place to remember those airmen killed in the Mediterranean theater with no known grave, a ceremony brought together representatives from across the Commonwealth.
The nephew and great niece of Warrant Officer Michael Wagstaff.
As the only Canadians, we came armed with our crosses and read letters from the Prime Minister and Lieutenant Governors representing almost all 9 provinces where those Canadians once lived. My sister carried laminated photos of each of the 31 Canadians, a way to put faces to the names engraved in stone, many that flew alongside our British great-uncle. And then, our new 458th family stood with us when we visited Michael's grave for the first time.
Found it.
Good job. So that was Wagstaff.
It was quite emotional, actually. It wasn't until we put the photo down of him next to the grave.
Yeah, it was very special.
Seeing him here and being able to honor him in this way does put something to rest. It does close a loop that we've been chasing for so long. Our research isn't over, but I think we just realized how many more stories and how many more people were connected to my great uncle. So the research continues, but there is a sense of relief to see him here.
Standing in Malta, you realize how connected these stories still are, how a small crew from every corner of the Commonwealth came together over this sea. For our family, finding Michael's grave wasn't just about loss, it's about rediscovery, about remembering that the history of war isn't written in strategy or numbers, but in the lives behind each name.
Now, as long as we keep remembering, and as long as the next generation remembers, as we said before, there is a saying, you die twice. Once when you stop breathing, and the second time when the last person remembers.
On this trip, Kate and my dad uncovered new connections, new Canadians to add to their list to research and honor. Because Remembrance doesn't end at the memorial. It continues every time a story is told or a name is spoken out loud. For anyone with a name in their family tree and a question mark beside it, the stories are waiting. Sometimes all it takes is a visit to make history personal again.
That memorial Johanna took us to in Malta honors nearly 3,000 Allied fighters. Included among them are the names of 285 Canadians. Coming up, CBC News is on board NATO's Eyes in the Sky for a crucial surveillance mission.
To provide that early warning and ensure that we have a presence.
Rare access to flights intended for detection and deterrence. That's next. NATO patrolling the skies over Eastern Europe after a rash of Russian drone incursions.
We want to make sure that we're able to see everything that's coming into NATO airspace.
The airborne early warning system hunting threats from sea or sky. Briar Stewart got access aboard one of those missions as NATO responds to a rise in drone sightings in Allied skies.
Crew, this is your co-pilot. We've been clear for takeoff.
Takeoff from a NATO airbase in Germany. This surveillance plane bound for Polish airspace to monitor the skies along the alliance's eastern flank at a time of heightened tension.
We are currently flying in the southeast of Poland, right along the Polish-Ukrainian border, to provide that early warning and ensure that we have a presence.
It was just north of here in September where around 20 Russian drones crossed into Poland. Some were intercepted, others crashed down. At the time, Russia said it wasn't directly targeting anything in the country, but many security experts believe Russia was deliberately probing. 2 days later, NATO launched Eastern Sentry, a multinational mission. Captain Indy is a Canadian surveillance controller who, under NATO protocol, is only being identified by his rank and call sign.
Especially with the incursions a couple of months ago, we want to make sure that we're able to see everything that's coming into NATO airspace.
So what are you really looking out for? I mean, when you're looking at your screen, what are kind of the red flags you're keeping in mind?
Somebody who is not following proper procedures for flying in international airspace. Even today, we're seeing aircraft flying around off flight plan or not with a flight plan or without using any transponders. And we're here to keep track of that. And if they do enter into NATO airspace, to go ahead and intercept them.
The crew on board this plane pass information on to NATO's headquarters. We were restricted with what we could shoot while on board because of classified material. Before we could film a screen, it had to be wiped of some sensitive information. The radar on this plane allows the crew to see more than 500 kilometers. They can spot planes, ships at sea, and of course incoming threats like a missile. What is more of a challenge, though, are small drones. Including the type of drones that have been spotted near major European cities and military facilities this fall. In recent weeks, there have been mysterious sightings all over Europe, triggering airports to close and leaving European leaders racing for a solution.
Today, we propose a new anti-drone system to be fully operational by the end of 2027.
It's not clear who is launching the drones and from where, although several officials have either directly or indirectly pointed the finger at Russia, believing this could be part of a hybrid war designed to intimidate and destabilize Europe. On this plane, the crew is primarily tasked with surveying areas near eastern Poland, tracking potential threats, including those beyond NATO's border.
We are talking about small drones or even smaller drones. It becomes smaller and smaller. We need to tweak our system to be able to see those drones. The normal aircraft will not have the same radar return as small drones, so we have to tweak the system to make sure that we are able to see those.
Captain Joel used to be a Belgian fighter pilot and is now an aircraft commander. He says the fact that the surveillance plane can see hundreds of kilometers around it means the crew can sometimes detect objects that ground radar can't. But he says as weapons advance, so must defenses.
During a tense situation, man can be creative to find new ways of fighting. And it's why we have to work sometimes a bit harder to adapt quicker to the evolving situation.
NATO surveillance planes fly through Polish airspace several times a week. With some missions lasting longer than 12 hours, there's sometimes a need to refuel. It's not clear how long the Eastern Sentry mission will be in place and what other ways NATO might be considering to try and bolster security.
The UK says it will send anti-drone equipment and troops to Belgium after drone sightings last week forced the closure of that country's 2 major airports. Coming up, an iconic moment on a Canadian soccer pitch.
I think I just scored the greatest goal of my career, and I'm never gonna forget this day.
How his icy kick helped propel his team to a championship. Next. This is David Rodriguez celebrating with his teammates after he scored what's now being called an icicle kick in a snowy final of the Canadian Premier League. So that goal not only tied the game up, it made international headlines and helped propel his team to a championship. And tonight, it makes our moment.
He wants to claim in the air. Bicycle! Oh my God!
I think I just scored the greatest goal of my career, and I'm never gonna forget this day. And I just saw the ball in the air, and I was like, I have to try it, and it went in. Just my first time playing snow. A lot of people stay in the stadium with the snow and all the cold. It was just a happy moment for me to score a goal and hear the whole stadium screaming. Couldn't really feel much when I landed because all the snow. It was just fun. We were able to win 2-1 on the final at home with over 10,000 people. It was good to prove everyone that Canada has a really good soccer league. It's not just about hockey or any other sport. Soccer is growing, and we were just happy to show everyone. I don't think no one's gonna forget this final. It was just amazing.
It was absolutely amazing. So David, just so you know, is from Mexico originally. He only got to Canada earlier this year, has only seen snow a handful of times, certainly never played in it. But after thinking about it, he said, you know, it's not all that different from playing on the beach, although substantially colder. You are not wrong there. From all of us at the National, thank you for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning for the National Remembrance Day ceremony starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, take care.